What's up, guys? I'm back with another movie review. Today I'm here to talk about The Disaster Artist. I do want to say up front that I am a huge fan of The Room, and that kind of colors the way that I see The Disaster Artist, and that I've also seen The Disaster Artist 15 times at the theater. It will be 16 by the time it leaves. It's leaving tonight in the town that I live in. So I really like this movie, but a lot of the reasons that I like it are because I like The Room. So it's hard to tell whether, I really like The Disaster Artist or I just love seeing so many references to The Room and seeing the craziness of Tommy Wiseau on screen. But anyway, in The Disaster Artist, it follows Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero as they try to make it in the acting business, and they kind of run into a lot of problems and they're not having a lot of success. So Tommy decides he's going to make his own movie, which would eventually become The Room. The movie tracks their lives leading up to The Room, during the production of The Room, right up until the premiere of The Room, and then it gives a quick recap of everything. Anyway, it's based off the book The Disaster Artist by Greg Sestero. It makes a lot of changes from the book. Some pretty big details are different. The Bryan Cranston scene did not happen in real life. When Greg moved to Los Angeles has changed. They did not go there together originally. There's a lot of little details in this that they changed, to make a smoother, more coherent story, and that's fine. I understand why they did it. And none of it really seems to impact the overall feel or tone of the movie, except for the fact that in the movie, Greg is portrayed like a drooling idiot, and that he thinks everything Tommy does is great up until a certain point, and then he kind of, the wheels start turning a little bit. But in real life, from the way that he tells it in the book, he knew that The Room was going to be terrible from the get-go, and he was never on board with it, and he was kind of embarrassed to be involved with it, and that's definitely not what comes across in the movie. But anyway, I loved seeing Tommy Wiseau up on the big screen, even though he's only actually in the after-credits scene as a character in the movie, and then a little bit in the epilogue. But anyway, it's just cool to see him. James Franco does a great job. He completely vanishes into the character, except for a few moments. There are a couple words that he really struggled to get through in Tommy's voice and cadence, and in those moments it really stands out. But for the most part, he does a great job. The look is actually a lot better than I thought it was going to be. He looks much closer to him, especially when he's got his sunglasses on. So I thought he did a great job. Dave Franco, though, my God, man, this guy's horrible. I've only seen a couple things with him that were passable. And in this, the only reason that I think he's kind of acceptable is just because, the movie is not really like super hyper serious, and it has like a really weird vibe to it anyway. So having him just be this terrible actor with this terrible wig on, it is what it is. He doesn't look like Greg. He doesn't act like Greg at all. But anyway, it doesn't bring down the movie too much because he just plays him like a drooling idiot, and that's, it works. The way that Franco plays, it works, and it seems natural. But I don't like the performance. I don't think it's like Greg at all. The movie has a lot of bad wigs in it. It seemed like that was kind of a recurring theme here. I really liked the movie. I thought it had good pacing. I thought it had good humor. But again, I think a lot of the reasons that I liked it was because I liked The Room. I liked seeing these characters. I liked seeing the behind-the-scenes stuff. I liked just to see Tommy interacting with all these different people. And I don't know how much of that is how much I liked The Disaster Artist and how much of it was that just it was like comfort food kind of as a fan of The Room, because this is certainly a love letter to Tommy Wiseau and a love letter to The Room. It puts a much softer spin on him than the book does, which kind of paints him as a very passive-aggressive, psychic vampire type of person, in all honesty. So it definitely is a softer version of him, and this movie definitely shows that the people who made it have a great amount of interest in Tommy Wiseau in The Room, and that passion definitely comes through. But again, I like it. I had a lot of fun with it, but I can't separate it from The Room. Forever, for me, The Disaster Artist will be like a B-side of The Room. Like, this should be an extra on the Blu-ray of The Room, in my opinion. As its own, it's fine. But if you haven't seen The Room, I mean, I don't really know what you'll get out of the movie. It's fine. It's well acted. It's, has good production values, and it's funny as a comedy. But you get so much more out of it and all the details if you've seen and appreciate The Room. So I would definitely recommend it to anybody who's a fan of The Room. Otherwise, I think just if you're a big fan of James Franco or you like kind of absurd comedies, I would check it out. To me, it's an inspiring story, even though he didn't get there the way that he intended, and he took a lot of strange turns along the way. I think Tommy Wiseau's story is an amazing one, and it was just cool to see it all unfold. And I definitely was cool to see The Room get such a huge boost in profile and to get so much more exposure because of this movie. So I definitely recommend The Disaster Artist. If you're a fan of The Room, it's a must-see. And I think history will show this as kind of like the B-side to The Room, and it'll be really hard for it to get separated and kind of have any kind of identity of its own. That's my review of The Disaster Artist. I hope you liked it. If you did, check out my full review of it on www.markfusion.com. You can check that out. I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Letterboxd at markfusion. You can check out my Patreon to get exclusive content. If you want to directly support me, thanks to YouTube yanking all of the monetization on small channels, which sucks. But anyway, so you can do that stuff if you want to, but the best way you can help me out still is just to sub and help me build my sub count so that I can try to get back up to whatever the next tier YouTube will ask me to get to before they yank that away from me too. I greatly appreciate you watching these videos, and I hope you check out The Disaster Artist, but more so, if you haven't seen it, you've got to see The Room. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Thanks again for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. Hopefully I'll see you guys soon.